Okay, well, the first year went very well for the Christians. This year, not so much. They made a couple of bad moves coming down and came in to siege this, hiding away as Yusuf got mustered, trying to kind of hide behind Cordoba to get away from him. But Yusuf managed to slip by Cordoba, laid a siege, but then moved in to engage in a battle. And with his mighty army, his javelins back, found some more. He doesn't have just one set forever. He managed to destroy the main Christian army, including Alfonso and his lieutenant. So the only thing that came down with him is Pedro here, who's sitting in Cordoba, and we're not sure, Pedro's got a couple of choices. He could try to sit it out and hold Cordoba against Yusuf, which would be the best if I can succeed in that towards victory. Or I could fall back to Toledo and extend Yusuf's supply lines, because as it stands, there are 3 lords who can operate coming up through here, and whatever they might muster, we might be bringing Seir in as well. So that's pretty powerful. This card makes Seir very attractive, because then I would have both of these as double seats here, and that would be very potent towards hitting Cordoba. Other than poor old Pedro, the only lord that the Christians have right now is Sancho, King of Aragon. Way up there. Really not able to do a hell of a lot. But now that I have some cards to operate with, he might come down and try to help in Toledo. I have other options though. El Cid. Since I lost lords, I could actually convert El Cid to... Hey, now that Alfonso's dead, there's no one to be having a fight with, right? And Eudes is coming in fairly soon as well. But I would definitely say that the initiative has swung. The question is just, are the Muslims able to take enough of an advantage of this massive victory that they got? And the reason they got it is that they cut off the Christians from any kind of retreat line. Uh-oh, my tea's ready. Let's do a levy. I shuffled the cards I want into the deck. I have to do that. But now I don't remember, where they... I don't have them facing me, so when I get to pick, I won't remember, perhaps. Well, luckily it's here. Muslims reduced their coin among typhus box and lords to 2/3 of the total, rounded up. So I got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That means I'm going to have 6 left. Abd Allah, I'll use one of his. I gotta get rid of one more. I'll get rid of one off Yusuf. I don't need all that money off him. And he's actually kind of problematic to have money, because I don't think he can put it in the typhus box. I'm not positive. Okay. And then, Emir is fractious. Choose 2 Taifa lords. Shift service of each by 1 box left. This levy no muster by them. Well, there's only 2 that have service. That's Abd Allah and good old Almoravid. It's a big deal though, because Almoravid can't use his 2 leadership there. All I have is Yusuf to call anybody up, or to call cards up, which is a big deal, even a bigger deal, especially since there were like 2 cards I wanted. Okay, and that brings me over here. Refugees. Hold. Play and muster for each unbesieged Taifa Lord to restore all lost unarmored units and add a transport. Yeah, that's potentially a big deal. It's a little weird when you've got The subordinate lords, I'm not quite sure how they'll work with it. I assume if they're active, i.e. on the chart, they would restore their forces as well. That's an interaction I'm just not sure about. Al-Qadar balks at payment. Hold. Play to add 1 jihad, or if Yusuf or Sir in any Reconquista or Parias Taifa or kingdom, 3 jihad. Huh. This leads me to wonder if that other card that I don't know that I had. Yeah, I put jihads all over the place because of it, so that's fine. Yeah, play to add 1 jihad, or if Yusuf or Sirius any Reconquista or Parias. I'm not there yet, but it's a hold card. So that could be the difference between winning and losing. If I can take a city, if I can take Toledo, that's the issue. And Toledo is behind Cordoba. Well, we got some time. We'll see. Now I'm allowed to pay. And the Christians have no problems. Sancho, I might want to pay him, but I might not. He can pay. He's got his own coin, so who cares? If I had multiple coin, it might be worth it. And I might have multiple coin next turn. So what am I going to do with my money? I don't know. I can't think of anything to do with it. So I'll push him forward. Would be more useful after I summon any lords, but whatever. I'm going to just be taxing with that poor fool. What about our Muslims, though? No money for Al-Mu'tamid. Abd Allah. He's going to disappear completely if I don't pay. I think he disappears anyway. Well, now wait a minute. I got a Taifa coin. Yeah, I'll pay him. What am I going to do with my coins, right? So I push him up another one. All right. So nobody has to disband. Rodrigo's available. I could call to arms him or Seer. That's an interesting question. And it's muster time. Well, Eudes is not available yet. So all I can really do is look through cards. I can't muster stuff here because it's a friendly location, and I'm not besieged currently. And of course Sancho can do whatever. But I've got no lords available that I can summon. Eudes is the only lord remaining that I can pull into the battles. I have a couple of cards they might find interesting here. This is the Ravaging one. It would cause me to get an extra half point or whatever. I don't think that's interesting. I have it over here. I have one that can get me a lot of light horse and light infantry too, which is also appealing. Maybe I want to do that. Light horse, foot and light horse have missiles times a half. So all foot and light horse. So that would give me 2 missiles. But this is men-at-arms and militia have missiles at a half that select target units and take 1 off the armor. So this would only give me 1 point, but it would be a more powerful point. What is the difference there? Well, I have to shoot at armored units if I'm being assaulted. Now, I look at the forces, and he doesn't have a lot of armored units. So I'm going to grab this. If I'm going to grab that, I think I got another one I want to grab, which Sancho can pick up. Let's find it. It's this one. The Milites. Put 2 militia and 4 light horse on this card. Christian lords can pay an asset to muster up to 3 of them per lord. That sounds appealing. Okay. So, 2 militia and 4 light horse. I expect that Pedro and this will be under the table or under the board there, but I'm going to leave it here for now. So that's going to be one of Sancho's activities. I think Sancho's other activity will be this, which gets me a knight and a light, a militia, or no, man at arms. It's hard to tell from the imagery what I got there. This I would get to keep longer. We don't know what Sancho's up to. So I'm spending 2, 1 on this, 1 on that. Here I'm spending 2, 1 on this. What's the other one? It's a good question. The light horse missiles having an advantage. I will buy my troops. That's a knight, a sergeant, and a man-at-arms, I believe. Which gives me a pretty powerful little force. Now, this is the only time that I'm allowed to muster as far as I know. So what do I want to do? Do I want to pay an asset over here? Question is, do I want to hold Cordoba? And I think the answer is yes. If I'm going to hold Cordoba, I do not need carts. Provisions might be more useful. And I will muster up to 3 of these. Now, I've got 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. That's going to give me a feed times 2 over here. That doesn't cost me a muster action, which is why I was able to play the card. as well as a unit. So likewise, I could get rid of a mule and get some more of these. How do I feel about that? I feel like I'm going to have to move pretty far and fast. So I'm going to leave these extra troops here. Now, Christian lords may do this to do 1 per lord. I got to kind of remember that Pedro can't take these because he's already taken them. I can try that, but normally I think you're expected to pull them all. All right, on to the Muslims. They don't have a lot. All they have available to them is Yusuf. Yusuf could bring Rodrigo in. That sounds like a damn fine idea to me. Rodrigo's a call to arms. Can't do that. So sorry. All right, so Yusuf can't do that. What can Yusuf do? Cards. I'm going to grab the battering ram. This is very... that's for surrender. The advantage, though, is that I could get extra siege markers there, but the battering ram doesn't do me any good unless I charge forward and do it. Oh, shit. Recall, there were some good choices, like Christian mercenaries gives me a couple of knights, some things that would give me some men-at-arms, which are also valuable. But instead, I want to go with this. I believe that supply is going to be vital to me. And this isn't this lord, so I put this over here. If Seer comes in, he gets that as well. I'm going to make my choice. Whether I want to spend $3 on Rodrigo, who's really good as a leader, but isn't my marshal, for what that matters. And then I've got this lord at Storm or when sallying adds 3 missile hits per round with -2 to enemy armor. And I'm likely to be starting things off with Yusuf because he's got my big force. Almoravid definitely isn't. These guys are kind of weak. I can't do anything about either of them. So, that continues us down. That's mustering. Some point or another I can throw money into the... okay, each coin spent... there's some point where I throw money into the Taifa box, and I thought it was here. I'm not seeing it here. Is it at the end of campaign? Unbesieged lords can deposit coin into the typhus at the end of the planning in the campaign. Okay, fair enough. And this is how so much of the errata is, like multiple pieces of information in basically one little block, and then just blum, 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 blum all over the place. It was more than I could cope with. Here, I need this to play the game, but otherwise I'd be flipping through the rules constantly. But it's just so densely packed. So yeah, if I've got this for the storm, I bought this. I'm looking at Call to Arms. Green Rodrigo on the map, or any Christian lord permanently removed. Add to Typhus box 1 victory point plus 1 per box his services ahead of Levy to set him and his seat aside and put yellow 2 ahead. So I could buy Rodrigo. That'll and take that option away. I think it's worth it. So what is the cost for this? If Green Rodrigo on the map, or if Christian Lord permanently removed, there is one. Add to Typhus box 1 victory point plus 1 per box's services ahead. His service isn't on the board, so I add 1 more victory point. I don't know if this will be worth it, but he changes to yellow over here. And that takes that option away from the Muslims. Now, for them, and I can't muster Udis. I'm only allowed 1 of these choices, I believe. Yeah. Okay. 3 coin to muster Rodrigo. No. Muster Yusuf or Sir. I have Sir. Or Sir. If Yusuf or Sir are both ready, I don't have that anymore. I can't take victory points for it. If Yusuf is at a Taifa seat, he is not. So we're going to muster Sir, and he'll show up here. And the big bonus is... I don't know what the big bonus is because I can't find it. There it is. Is that he gets his seat as a double seat as well. Comes with a huge additional force, not quite as powerful as Yusuf's. It's all African and light militia. But it's a lot of force. The problem with a lot of force is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, is that he also is in that damn feed 3 marker. And he has a big problem, which is, he starts out with a mule, that's it. I don't get to muster any additional transport. The most I can do is carry 2 food. I can do 1 supply action, grab 2 food, because I have this. And then move. And then I have to eat 3 food, and I don't have 3 food. Conceivably, he's got a lot of turns. 1, 2, 3, 4. Wonder why Yusuf's back here. Didn't he just come in last turn? No, he won the... Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Well, now I'm bemused. I don't know the answer. Okay, anyway, I'm not going to think about it too hard. If I have that card that gives me +2, or do I? I don't have it anymore, do I? I had that card that gives me +2, but that only works for Typhilords, if I recall correctly. So I can't grab 2 food twice because I won't have any capability to move it. So basically, I'm just going to starve a little bit, and that sucks. But at least I'm 4 ahead. I don't know why he's there. Like, I'm wondering if I'm in the wrong turn. But I don't think so. Okay. Can't be. Can't be. Because the Christians made it. They were sitting here after the first turn, and they made it down and got swamped. Okay. Whatever, I'm in the right place. But yeah, so Sear's going to have to starve a little bit on his movement and hurt his levy thing, which is okay, I guess. I could always tax for a turn here, get some cash, or get him up with Yusuf. But that's kind of the problem. The problem is the amount of feed that is required. Now, without the feed, I can move 1, 2, starve, and then I can't trace all the way back here with just 1 mule, so I would have to take normal food here. I'd probably have to starve 2 turns to get into Cordoba. Anyway, at the very least, Yusuf can get me some food there, which will help. So, what are we doing? I think we're all set. That'll move it to the campaign, and it'll be the Christian side of the campaign. I don't know what they're going to do. My intention is Pedro's going to try to hold Cordoba, and I guess Sancho is going to try to make his way down to help defend Toledo. Since there's nothing going on up here, and I'm going to have all kind of actions that, with the 2 lords that I have. I've got 8 cards. They only have 6 between them. So, Sancho's going to actually do stuff now. The more complicated and aggressive the initiative side of things is on the Muslims now. Whenever you have the initiative in this game, I feel like you have to do a lot more pre-planning. So for the Christian planning, I've got 2 lords, and since they only have 6 cards, that's going to mean I have 2 pass cards. It's only 7 cards. What do I want to do? Well, right off the bat, I want to gather some sort of materials, whatnot, for Pedro here. Pedro's coming close to the end of his period. So he may need coin, he may need other things. I'm going to put him up there right away. A couple of forages to get some more food, although he probably has enough, but what if I delay too long? It would be a good idea to get food, I think, more than coin. Then I'm going to throw 2 passes in line. After that, I'm going to put Sancho down to try to get him down to Toledo, and then I'll put the other Pedros down. Now, I don't think the other Pedros are going to be terribly useful, although I could sally on them. But if I'm evaded, I could cut back or do some damage out here down by Cordova. So that seems to make sense to me. Problems, of course, are going to be more complicated. What do I want to do? Well, I either want to take Cordoba, which is what I kind of set up for, or I want to make some kind of end run up here. which doesn't look terribly easy. I could get cut off. All kind of terrible things could happen. We saw what happened to the Christians when they went out on a limb. I don't want to get caught that way. I need to win. Yusuf is my big commander. He's got 4 cards. That's his big bonus. However, his command rating isn't very good. He's my only marshal. First and foremost, I think is... Almoravid is not very useful. Now, his cards might be, although I doubt it, because he's not sitting anywhere terribly good, but he does have the 3 command rating. But Abdallah also has that big command rating, and he has the advantage, or disadvantage, or whatever, of having to move to join Sir. So he's going Yusuf. So he's going to be my first card. Now, he has 2 provender with him. I could gather provender once and then spend 2 more to move. That sounds like a good thing. It gets me into position. That now puts me where Abdallah is probably not terribly valuable except to grab supplies, because he can grab them out of Granada, which no one else can. So let's look at our supplies for Yusuf. Yusuf has 2 provender. Almoravid has nothing. Abdallah has 2, but he will have created 1 and eaten it. So I will need 3, 4, 5 provender, and I only have 4. So I think I need to do that again. So I'm going to use Abdallah again to collect provender out of Granada. All right. Next, I think I move Yusuf in. I keep getting him confused. Yusuf into place to siege Cordoba. And now the key is bringing Seer into place. Although we may need supplies after moving into here. I would be able to grab 1 supply from this location because it's a friendly stronghold, right? That doesn't cost me anything, right? Unravaged or any friendly fortress or city. Add 1 provender for foraging long if in a friendly stronghold. It's automatic. Yeah. So there's supplies there, so I could grab 1, move in here. This is already ravaged. There's nothing exciting that I can do beyond that. Although once I get here, now I've got Almoravid. And even more interesting, if I move in here, how much cart do I have? I'll have both of these, so I'll have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's a lot. That's enough to get me back here. So my one supply action from Cordoba can actually reach all the way back and get me 2. So that's even better. Good enough. Okay, if I remember. Now, what were we talking about? We collect 3. We essentially collect 1 and 3 is 4. That gives me enough to feed the whole force after it moves. Yusuf's going to gather some more. Is that enough? What did I say? 1, that feeds him. Don't worry about that. These 3 that I'm using for supply get me to 5, 6, 7, 3, 4, 5. I'm only going to have 2 left after that. I can grab 2 more. That gets me 4 left. That's still not enough. I do another Yusuf to grab another 2 supply, 4 supply, whatever. I don't like this because I'd like to be placing sieges. What if I don't move Yusuf yet? What if I do Seer first? Seir doesn't have a lot of transport capability. So what do? I do 2, I starve. Then I can grab supplies, but I can't move here because I'm not fast enough, not with 1 mule. Shit! That sucks. And I can't carry 4 supply no matter what, right? So I can't double supply. Alright. I think this is what we do. I don't like this, but... Okay, the Yusuf's there. I think I need another Yusuf, a Seir. So, here's the thing. Hold on. Seir's first move, he starves. His second move, I move in, then I collect my supplies, and I'm fine. So we take Yusuf out of there. We can't put Seir yet. We put Seir here. What do we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I get 2 more. Almoravid has lots and lots of actions he can do. So he can collect 3 supply, as could Abdallah. I don't want Almoravid to lead a siege. Let's put these 2. I might want Seir to lead a siege though. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We'll do this. We'll see what happens. Now, even though the initiative is in the Muslims' hands, the Christians still get to must go first, for whatever that matters. So let's flip. Let's see what they got. Did I screw up some defensive cards? Okay. My first card is Pedro. I wanted food for Pedro, right? Food was the important thing because if I get assaulted, I'm delaying quite a few turns. So he's sitting in a location he can use his 2 actions to grab 2 provender. Excellent. He's done. Go over here, Abdallah. I move 2. I use my other point. No. Yeah, because I'm overweighted, no matter how. So I move 2. I use my other point to gather an additional provender, which I immediately eat, because I had a mark on that briefly. Get a pass. Another Abdallah. This is just collecting food. I grabbed 3. Okay. Go back over. Another pass. Sorry if I'm moving too quickly. I know that can cause issues. Seir, 1, 2, and I starve. I have no food. I can't throw the mule away because it doesn't help me. But I fall back to there. A Sancho. Sancho has no food. This is terrible. Sancho also has 3 commands, which is kind of neat. I could grab food. I could grab food twice. What the hell? What are we going to do? We are not going to be laden. We're going to get on our move. There's no cut across here or anything useful. There's no cut here. This is really hard. I think this is 1, 2, 3, the best I can do. Except I don't want to go 3. I only go 2. And I reach back with my 2 mules to get a single food, which I eat. Once we get to Toledo, or to within the Toledo province, we're okay because we can be inside the castles, but we can't be inside the castles in the Pariahs. It's not friendly. It's just okay. Yusuf. Yusuf's plan was to move his entire force. Can't do that, man. Okay. Yusuf's plan was to grab a provender. I hope I didn't fuck up here. That's, I'll just put a 1 in there because I've got to spend some. Do I have enough? Yeah, barely. Not really. So I gather 1 provender. I thought I was getting 2, and this is what's going to screw me up. I'm able to move. I got tons of carts. 5. Can I supply this way? Hold on. Before I grab that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have enough. Yeah, I grabbed 2 provender. Excellent. This is how I wanted to do it. And then we move in. We get a siege marker there. And now we have to spend 5 provender. 3 of it off Yusuf. And we'll take the other 2 off Abdallah. And that fed them. Do I have a card? Do I have the immediate assault card? Select supply adds 1 extra. No. Hold. Play in Taifa with Yusuf. No. Play to add 1 jihad. Or, if Yusuf or Surin any Reconquista or Parias, 3 jihad. This might be useful. Do I want to throw some jihad down? If it has to be in the same Taifa, I'm not going to get anything. And this is kind of cut off. I think I'm okay. And I could restore all lost unarmored. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, I have this. Okay. Which gives him a bonus because he has ballista and shit like that. Okay. Say catapults and mangles. What did I do? Where am I? So I've used 4 here. Should be 4 here. Yeah. And I think I'm done. So we go here. It's another Sancho. Sancho has no food. That's terrible. I'm 2 away. I can do a supply action and get a food automatically. And then I get 2 more moves. This is not perfect. And then I eat my food. I have no coins for Sancho. That's dangerous. I also have no way to get him coins. He's going to lose his troops that he just raised. Stupid Sancho. Yusuf. I don't have much food. I have 4. If I do a siege, I have to eat 5. So I'm going to do 2 provender collections. I run back to here. That gets me 4. And it doesn't cost me, I don't have to eat. Sancho! Okay, Sancho has no food. He has to move. I have a movement of 3. I move 1, 2. I collect provender from Madrid, which I own. It's friendly to me, and I eat it there. Sear gets to go. Sear only has a command of 2. So I move into here. I'm not charged with having to siege or whatever because there's already a siege or a bypass in place. So I don't have to stop my turn. I spend my extra action grabbing 2 more food, 1 of which I have to eat. It's kind of weird what this game is about, you know? It's like, I mean, OCS, right? You've got your supplies running all over the place and everything, but they're just sort of like this extra little transport game that you're playing at the same time to get your stuff working. Here, you're spending more, like, more of the game is about collecting the supplies. You know, it's not just moving the supplies along with your stuff or whatever. You're just constantly trying to keep your army fed. And if you manage to do anything else, that's great. All right, we're back to Pedro. Pedro's got problems. He's not allowed to take coin. I don't know why I was considering that at all. But he's got gardens here, which means it's ravaged. It's ravaged. Wait, it means he can't. Did I screw up? I think I screwed up and he shouldn't have any food. Enemy locale not at ravaged. No, that's ravaged. Okay. Forage. Unravaged, besieged. Add 1 provender on a roll of 1. I think... No, besieged in Fortress City always works. Unravaged or any friendly Fortress City. I think the way gardens work, I'm okay. I can collect food. Which means I can last there forever. Basically, you can hold a city pretty much as long as you like. Now, the problem here is Pedro is sitting there and he's going to be hard to dislodge. Sancho might be easier. Anyway, Pedro is going to grab food with his 2 cards, and he has nothing else he needs to do. So we'll grab him his provender, and he's, you know, this sets him up so that if he keeps getting assaulted, he's okay. I gotta swap batteries. Being remarkably friendly right now. All my chargers are working perfectly fine. There's the one that's screwed up, and it's working fine. That's really what it comes to. So I just did Pedro. That goes over here. What do I got left? I got a Yusuf. I don't like where I am. I'm going to drop a siege. I have to feed, though. And my feeding is big. 3, 6, 7, 8. That's pretty much everything I've got. There's no chance of surrender, but I still want to do this because I'm building up my own defensive walls, right? I'm also only allowed 6 hits, so these huge armies are not as impressive as they might look. They also probably only hit a half each. Yeah, those are 1, but the African horse are a half. Okay, we fed. We go back here. This is their last card, Pedro. Pedro could sally out. That would be terrible, although there is an advantage. I don't know if you remember this, but when you sally out, you damage the siege works. But I think that sounds like a really good way to get my army wiped out. So, I mean, I could just go out for 1 round, damage the siege works, but they're not that big yet. Screw it. So we will gather our 2 food. Food. And we shift over here for the last card. It is a Yusuf. I really have no option. I can't assault. I mean, I could, but I need to gather food. So I will gather 4 more provender. Like, unless I knew I was going to succeed in the assault, I can't afford to do it. That puts me to the end of the period, of the campaign section. And this is not the harvest turn, that's over here. Repairs, we haven't gotten enough siege markers to lose 1. We do have to deal with wastage, though. Well, we've got tons of food stocked up. Screw it, man. We don't have to eat. We don't have to eat as long as we're not fighting. Over here, not quite so good. Could get rid of this. I'd rather have my mules. Well, it's the mules that are costing me. But I am going to be able to muster next turn. I'll throw this. Okay. Doesn't have to. I got more than 2 feed markers. I can throw that away, right? He's fine. These 2 each have issues. I don't know. We're going to need the fucking cards. I'm not going to be able to do this entirely on mules. So I don't know why I did that. But it doesn't hurt. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let's do that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I'll eat a mule. I mean, I'm going to have to pay 2 to make these moves. If I get that far. And really what I want is Seville. I want it back. Actually, I really need Toledo, so I don't know. That took care of everybody's. We're not going to get any musters. Of course, neither's Pedro. And Sancho is, however, for whatever that matters. Which means, I don't know, because he's losing these troops, so like he can muster his other troops or get some cards or something. Wastage. Christians than Muslims can discard Art of War cards. Are either of these? Well, these are holds. So javelins, battering ram. I'm not going to be conquering anything. Ribald monks. Not really worried about ravaging. Extra command is really nice. That would be really useful on Yusuf. He's got real problems. Of course, if he's leading the assaults, might be better off on Seer. Let me see if there's another one of those. There's another copy of that card. I probably don't need 2 of it, so I think I'm okay there. So we don't discard, we don't unstack lieutenants, and we go to the Levy campaign. And we got the Crusaders coming in. Now they come in way up here, I think, at Pamplona, So it's another force that has to wander somehow through these twisty roads that are all alike going through Spain. Right now the big question is, does Seville fall? If it does, is it enough? It's 3 points. No jihad would show up there. So just 3 points would switch. A half point would switch over. So I'd only get 2.5 points. So that would put me to here. And it wouldn't reduce the Christian points at all. But depredations going through Toledo might be able to even things out, even if he can hold the city itself, which I assume he can. Even though there's huge forces, I assume he can. As it stands, look, Pedro's got a bigger force. I don't know if I can beat him, but I'm pretty sure that I can't very easily assault this. Another thing I could do is ravage the shit out of stuff, get leaders like Badajoz in play and Zaragoza, Larida, and go for points there. And maybe I can take this, but a bunch of ravaging could do quite a bit of damage to the point totals. Now that ravaging gets fixed here, so I don't have to worry about losing those points at any point. All right, and now it's time to play a raid, because, or as it's better called, Wait Shadow Legends, which, basically, there's this clan versus clan thing. It shows up every 2 weeks, and I can't play until like 2 or 3 in the morning. Like, I can play some, but I want to save all the resources. So the day, there's 2 times when the day switches, basically. Actually, there's more than 2. But there's basically a a big switch that happens at 5 p.m. my time. And that's usually when I get on and play. And for a few hours, it eats up every day. The Clan v Clan means I want to play hard for the next couple days. Unfortunately, I've been awake, for a stupid amount of time today. And, I did take a nap. I ended up getting like 5 hours of sleep, 7 hours of sleep, maybe if you count everything, I don't know, between last night, whatever. I don't know. I think it's 5, which isn't too terrible. But I'm pooped, And now I've got to spend more effort playing than I would on a normal day because of the CVC thing. There's a lot of stuff that absolutely has to be done perfectly, and I'm fucking tired and will screw stuff up. And it just really sucks that, like, if both things switched at the same time, and I don't care if it's 5 p.m. my time or if it's 3 a.m., it doesn't make a damn bit of difference to me. If they both switched at the same time, I would regularly get on at that time, and that would be my schedule. But instead what happens is, when all the missions become available, and I have energy left over, I have energy for the day and whatever, I have to come in and I have to play those. And I'm just so used to the 5 p.m. ones, I probably should get more used to playing at like 3 a.m., but it's hard to do, comparatively. Boy, I've been off for a couple of days because mainly my raid addiction. Had a big clan fight. I had to be on almost constantly when I was awake. Plus it's fucked up with my sleep schedule. I think my sleep schedule was already getting kind of screwed up again. Good news is I'm definitely not getting that job, so I'm still retired. I really had misgivings about giving up on this retirement. The other thing is, then today, after the raid requirement was kind of done, I managed to go out and get myself a nice big bottle of vodka, which it's not like I was out, but I was down to just, I don't know, a few drinks worth, and couldn't convince myself to ever make a drink anymore. And then had a drink and a cigar outside, so I got to kind of relax after that. Plus, the walk just wiped me out. So, we're here on the Levy phase, and it's time to shuffle some decks and get some cards going. Why didn't I do that before I got on? I don't know. I'm a little bothered by one thing, and I looked here for victory, and I don't see it, which kind of sucks. But I wanted to make sure that I've got this right. But I don't think there's any points for having wiped out the Christian leadership, right? Now, they are gone for the campaign, and that has effects and allows the Muslims to do things. There's no question about that. But I would argue there's a good chance they were captured for ransom or whatever. So I don't know. I just feel like there should be some points for that beyond just, hey, we're free to attack wherever we want, now. Anyway. Berber, ship service of Al-Mutawakkil, Abdallah, Yusuf, or Seer by one box, and none of them are able to levy. Okay. Abdallah I could throw down. I'm not that excited by him. Yusuf is not. Oh, Yusuf is on there. Do they have any coin? They do. It would cost 2 to keep Abdallah on the board. Not really sure how important that is. These 4 commanders, though, could place up to 4 total siege markers, so that would be kind of problematic. So I think I'm going to actually shift him down. He will disappear permanently. Not that big a deal, right? So this is where you wouldn't want people disappearing permanently to be all that problematic, because if he just abandons this and goes away for the rest of the year, or the rest of the 2 years, as it were, if it happened early in the game, that's not a big deal. All right, let's draw another one. Fitna, Emir's Fractious. Choose 2 Typha Lords. Shift service of each by 1 box left. This levy, no. Oh, let's keep this. All of these are affected. So there's not going to be any levy for the Muslims. That's fine. There wasn't anyway. They're all there. But 2 Taifa Lords, I could send Abd Allah and Al-Mutamid down. Okay. So now Abd Allah, he's not coming back, right? Even if I paid him off, the soonest he would be coming back is 1, 2, 3, 4 outside the scope of the game. I'm just going to toss this one because it doesn't matter. That one's already got no levy, as does the fact that we're not in a thing. African Fleet. Hold, play for a lord to use his command card to march between 2 ports where there's no Christian lord. Not a big deal. There are a lot of ports on the map, but not planning on doing anything big there. Swollen River. Hold unless the lord has Adelides, play to block march or command and or block avoid battle. I'm not allowed to discard these at this point. Like, the discard cards happens, I think, I don't remember where. At the end of the campaign or something? Maybe not. Maybe it happens now. Okay. Now we get to pay. The Christians may want to pay Sancho, but I don't have money with Sancho. And Pedro's besieged, so his money wouldn't be useful under any circumstances, but it's not any. Well, he could keep himself in pay. Okay. So we go over to the Muslims. We are not going to pay Abd Allah, which means he's going to come off the board and be gone. Do we pay any of these others? Nah, let's see what happens, right? You know. Okay. Bring the disband. I forgot this. He comes off the board, and that takes these guys out. He's not gone, because he's on his current turn. I can muster with Sancho. No. I'll muster his other lord, or his other vassal. And that gives me, what, just a man-at-arms, I think? Yeah, that's what it says there. And we're at 4, 5, 6. I don't like the idea of taking a cart, but I got a lot of roads to go. I think a cart is a better move than a provender at this time. And that's his muster. You know, he might have a card he wants to use. Or he could grab these. I don't think... I can't relieve this siege. I could conceivably take this. It's not that potent, but it's also not that weak. So I think what I'm going to do is try to fortify Toledo with him. So probably want to look for a card. I don't think I need a cart, so I threw that out. I'm taking Ballesteros, but oh no, I might as well. Yeah, there's nothing else. Sorry. Okay, I'll take that. I forgot. You get Udays through Call to Arms, not through Levy. Speaking of which, Call to Arms. Rodrigo is not available to the Muslims, but he is available to the Christians. Not yet. I could muster Udays. Muslims add 1 jihad marker somewhere. Why are there jihads all over the place? I'm allowed to put them in pariahs. That's why. That's a half point. Gets them a little closer, and I'll put Udays on the board. I made a couple of changes. I moved the Jihad here. That's going to make Udays a little harder to bring in. He comes in at Pamplona. I knew that, but I thought Zaragoza would kind of prevent him. But actually, it kind of does. Is it as effective? Not really. I think this is more impressive. I could have done even maybe worse. I can't put it here. I could have put it somewhere like here. That would have been maybe, not really. Nothing's more annoying. Okay. I can't put it in the conquered space, which is the big deal. And that brings him on. He's kind of interesting. He has a couple of vassals that have a knight each, and a couple of vassals that have a man at arms each. It takes a lot to kind of muster all his stuff, though. So it might be advantageous for me to go this way, just because I'll be able to muster off of those. And that's the end of the levy, is it not? It is. Puts it to campaign. And I'm going to take a break. I don't know if I'm going to be back down. Like I said, I haven't been playing all that much. I kind of feel like the game's decided. It's not, but I kind of feel like it is. So there's 3 points, 2.5 points to be gained there. That still isn't an, I mean, it would come off this way, 2.5 there. That would not guarantee a Muslim victory. So, and I think it's going to be very, very unlikely that the Muslims are going to be able to get additional points off Toledo. They might be able to get ravage points and such not. We'll see. I haven't done a lot of that in the game yet, but late in the game it might make more sense. This is carts and mules. Okay, the ravages go away here. All right, I'm feeling very fatigued already after doing nothing. Here it is, Sunday evening, I guess. Long delay, or long pause, but with dancing and raid, it's been tough to get down here. And I guess we're hitting the campaign phase. I had a victim, as my wife used to call them, up on the porch, little bird. I didn't used to, they smack into my big glass windows. I leave the windows so dirty that they've started not hitting it so much, but man, I really don't like dead things. And I used to have her take them off each time. But you know, it's like, it's not a big deal with me alone. But somehow it was a huge deal because she could do it. I don't know. Unlike, say, dishes where I just ignore them completely, as I know I have to get off the porch. All right, so we're hitting into the campaign season, and let's remind ourselves what the hell we're doing. I'm sure you guys know better than me, but discard excess capabilities. We don't have any. And we build our decks and pick lieutenants, and we can move money into the typhus box, which might... Nope, Yusuf can't do it. He's not a typhus lord, right? Yeah, so... Alright, just a quick reminder. As soon as the levy's over, I got to remember to flip these back over, because they're available for the next levy. I have 3 lords left in the game, and I've got them all on the table. I'm going to open with a couple of Pedros. Pedro can't do shit, but he's in a garden. He can draw supplies. And given the fact that I have, you know, I'm under siege and whatnot, if I'm assaulted, which is the only way they're going to be able to take me, they're going to have to force me to eat a couple of times. So I figure let's get the food out of the way for him first. I'm not in any hurry to do anything. I want to get Sancho down to Toledo. In fact, that may be more important. Let's do that first, because I don't want a quick blitz up to Toledo, which would be possible. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 movement. And Pedro has tons of food. He's got 4 food he can feed twice. So I'm not in any hurry. I just didn't think I was in a hurry with Sancho, but I want to get him down to Toledo, garrison that, make it so that won't fall easily. Then I do some Udes to get him into the region. You know, there's only 3 Muslim lords. If they screw up, Udes and Sancho might be in a position to lift that siege or something along those lines. The problem is I don't have a marshal. I didn't pick the card that allows you to have a marshal. It's not going to happen this turn, right? Because I can't make a lieutenant if they're not stacked together to begin with. But at the beginning of next turn, I expect the two lords will be together, or else I'll pick that marshal card. And then I've got a couple more Sanchos, just because I need to fill out the deck, and I might as well grab some food or whatever I need to do. Can't tax or anything. I could tax. Yeah, I could tax with Udes. That might be of some value because I don't really have a source of coin. Through my hold cards, I don't usually look at them during the Levy phase, and I should. It's a matter of getting used to the game system and what happens when, and I'm just not that comfortable, you know, with the patterns that work. I've got this refugees play and muster for each unbesieged Typhal Lord to restore all lost unarmored men. Well, I have a whole bunch of lost men, but I got a couple of militia and a light horse that I would have been able to get back, except I wasn't able to. This Berber's card is sitting there. That would have prevented me from mustering anyway. So it worked out fine, but I should have looked. I got to figure out my command deck, but one of the first things I was doing was looking at the Arts of War. I didn't look at this guy at all. Pretty sure there's nothing there. Selection of cards for the Muslims is going to be pretty fixed. I have 4 cards for Yusuf, 3 for Seer, and 1 for Almoravid. But what's the order and what do I want to do with them? That's the question. Almoravid looks terrible. He's got 1 sergeant. I don't want to risk him anywhere, right? He should go home and, I don't know, do stuff at home where he might muster next turn, get some vassals into play or something. But can I afford to? That's the big question here. I can use him as a siege card, you know. Right now, I have 4 5 mules, not counting Almoravid. That can get me 1, 2, 3. I could only provision once for each action. So I need the extra cart mule, whatever, that Almoravid has in order to draw 2 supply each time from Yusuf and Sir. Which means I'm going to save Almoravid as my last move and shift him out at that point so that he can, you know, do a muster next turn. Clever thinking. I don't know. But anyway, the others will be able to resupply and perform siege operations. I'm able to get it up to 3 markers, no higher. 3 markers isn't great because one of them goes away, so I kind of have to launch my attack this turn, I guess. This is the programming I'm going with. My intention is Seer has to grab food first because I don't have enough food to launch an attack. I've only got 5 food. I eat 3, 6, 7 per round. And I want to launch my first attack with Yusuf. The reason for that is I have this Arada, which does 3 extra missile hits each round with -2 to enemy armor. That's really, really potent. That might be enough to help get me through things. But I want to do a siege first. See, I'm thinking I have Yusuf going right next. I want to launch at least 1 attack with Seer, or be prepared to, because he has a big force. This big force might get wiped out on that first attack or hit pretty hard. So, supply, attack, supply, attack, supply, attack, whatever. Alright, we'll go with that. Alright. I need a break. I mean, not a long one, but I want to have my pipe lit, and I gotta go upstairs and pack a new one and whatnot. You know, I was fine when I was upstairs. I first was awake and whatever. A little hot, whatever. I'm not wearing a shirt, you know. My fat's flowing everywhere. But after being down here for a little bit, I go up there and it's just kind of oppressive. I don't know what it is down here. It's because it's underground mainly. But I mean, I don't know what the actual temperature is. I don't have any kind of any way of gauging it. But I don't know. I'm guessing it's maybe 60, 65 down here, and upstairs it's probably about 85. It just, or maybe it's only 75 down here. I don't know. But it's just like going back up. It's just like, oh shit, it's hot out here. Swap my cards around for the. Sorry, that's not there yet. For the Muslims, because I realized. Oh shit, no, wait. I want to get one more siege down, so there's another seer turn in there. Could have done Almoravid instead. Actually, this is worse than that. Because a siege is going to require that I feed. Hold on. Let's relook at this. So, seer went... I do another seer. I do a Yusuf. I want to save one seer for the back end of this. Is that good enough? Feed. Doesn't matter. He fed. Siege. Feed. Assault. Whatever's. Okay. I'm not gonna go into all the details of all the operations and all the die rolls and whatnot. We're gonna speed this up and just try to get through it in less video. After Pedro's eaten or grabbed food twice, I'm gonna put this here instead of the storm because it helps remind me better. We're having what may be the game here. This may be the decision on the game. But it may not. It may end up inconclusive or partially conclusive, whatever. We'll see. But it could end things. Yusuf hitting with his catapults and whatnot. Full garrison. Everything's there. It's ugly. Can't do it yet. So sorry. I needed a feed. Do I have another Yusuf? Yeah, I have another Yusuf. Yeah, I need to grab food. So I only grabbed 4. Do I have the card that gives me another command left? I do not. Okay. Which means I only get 4 food. I hope that's enough. You know, I can not feed Almoravid, and that'll reduce his thing, and that'll be fine. It's not perfect, but I can live with that. So yeah, I do one more feed there. I go back here. What do I got? I got a Udays. He has to move. I might end up playing a card to fuck with his movement. Now we're at the battle. Yusuf got his draw. Udays wasn't able to move, actually. He had to grab food. But yeah, this could be the key battle, the deciding battle in the game. And, you know, sure, I could have bypassed and tried to get some extra points over here, but we can see there's a fair amount of difference between the victory markers. It's going to be really hard to just ravage my way into victory. In Pedro's defensive missile fire, I have these arqueros. I have the garrison. The garrison's worth 3 missile fire. The arqueros I have tracked separately because they don't have the -1 to the armor. nor the picking capability. But I have 1, 2, 3, 4 more for that. So I'm going to be doing 7 damage. Maximum is 6 though, remember? So we'll switch that to 2 3s. Managed to get a couple of hits against Yusuf. Now he gets to come back, but to begin with, he's going to get 3 missile hits from this. I don't know if this impacts the 6 hits per round. I suspect it does. I suspect it is still limited by that, which means I probably don't want to throw my javelins yet, because I get 1, 2, 3, 4 missiles with these. No, I was confused. Missiles are unlimited, so I have 1 more shot, and I'll take that again on horse against Yusuf. He's got it. Yeah, there goes another horsey. They can't evade there. That means since my horse is getting wiped out, I might as well throw the javelins in as well. So I've got 3 hits from this. I've got 2 javelins, which I bet you are halved. That's what I think it is. Yeah. So that's 1 hit with javelins. Now javelins... they don't have any special modifier. So that's 1 hit with javelins, and 1, 2, 3, 4. So I got 5 more hits without the modifier. And since I have to hit armored units first, I'm going to fire these off first. But, well, I only have 3 of them, so I got to go through the garrison before I go to these. And then, once the entire garrison, I got to go through the garrison before I hit Pedro. Once I get the entire garrison wiped out, then I start hitting Pedro's armored units. Hold entirely and prevent any losses to the defenders whatsoever. Now we come to the melee side. These numbers are going to be big. Do the calculations, not the die rolls. How about that? So, 1, 2, 3, 4.5, 5, 6, 7, 8.5. 9, 10, 11, 12. But here I am limited to the 6 per round, and there's nothing special happening. Works were effective, no hits over here. We come back to here, it's probably 6 hits, but I'm not sure because I lost a lot. 1, 2, 3, 4, it's only 5 hits. Ouch. And again, I have to go after the armored garrison first. Managed to get a grand total of 1 of them. I pull Surin. Now he's going to be putting another whole bunch of hits in, honestly. But he doesn't have this bonus. But first, we get the missiles coming from Pedro and his garrison. We're allowed to go 3 rounds total. I don't know where to mark that. We finished 1. The siege works were fairly effective. We lost 1 infantry. Targeting was against the infantry, actually, because the horsemen's javelins are gone. They won't get to shoot back. But I forgot to mark him. He has javelins as well for his horses. And wow, we're going to have a lot. Let's see what we got here. So 1, 2, 3.5, 4, 5, 6.5, 7.5, 8.5, 9.5, 10.5, 11.5. That'll be 12 shots plus 3. So there's the 3. I chose to take the attacks on Yusuf mainly because his javelins were used up already, so any targeting against these horses would be possible if Seer went in there. Almoravid can go in safely on that 3rd round because I don't have to like expose him as an attacker. which feels a little weird because he's going to get to attack. He's going to get to add an extra die into the melee without any harm, without any possible harm happening. That big round of missile fire took the garrison out, but that's all. And now we go to the melee, and let's count up Pedro, see what he has. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. He hits his maximum of 6 at this point. You know what? I think I may have screwed up. I may have only done 6 from Pedro and the garrison. I think the garrison doesn't count against that, just like the flanking. I can get larger numbers. C'est Levy. I mean, I've made other errors, right? You know, and I have no idea. We're talking at most like 1 hit or something, right? Maybe. All right, so that's 6 hits. I can switch my targeting over to Seer at this point, who has a whole lot more like light horse or African horse. And I think that's wise, because I'd rather take the hits on them than getting Yusuf more beaten up. Grand total of 1 down. Now I get to count my totals. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We stop at 10. So there's what we got. 10 shots, but we got to start hitting the armor now. And this is really tough to do. I mean, busting through an empty garrison is hard enough. It's the siege assaults are really painful to get away with. Okay, on the very last shot and hit a knight. Whoop, 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 whoop. That's the end of 2 rounds. This is the final round of combat going in. I get to bring Almoravid in for an extra die at the end. You know, he could, if he had a full force or whatever, he could be bringing 6 more hits in. But nope, it's not an extra die. It's an extra save, whatever. So what are we looking at missile-wise now? 1, 2, 3, only 4 coming back from the Christians. Where do I want to take them? This is the most defensible unit, but I don't want to wipe Almoravid off the board. He still serves some purpose. They get to pick their target. I think I'm going to throw Seer in again. Mistaken about picking target. These are not crossbows. Seer in there is fine. I took a lot of hits, a whole bunch of the horse got wiped out. Let's count back for my missile attacks. I get my 3 special, which are going to go first because they're going to try to pick off the armor. But going through 4 walls is tough, and that's what everything is, every stronghold. After that, 1, 2, 3.5, 4, 5, 6.5, 7.5, 8.5. Wait. 1, 2, 3.5. Yeah, 8.5 coming back. That'll be a total of 9. So I've got a fair amount of shots, but the chances of any single one landing is so low, especially since I have to target the armored stuff first, and that knight is going to stand up there and take the blows. I sort of lied. I didn't put the knight up first. I put the sergeant up first. He got hit on the first shot. Boom. The reason was this -2 is more impactful against the knight, but then I put the knight up because I want the man-at-arms has the advantage that he provides some missile fire, so I don't want to really get my missile shots wiped down. I'm at 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I could have afforded the loss there, but anyway. That means it's melee time, and we're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the maximal 6. I was a little mistaken. There's no targeting on this. The defender does not have to put their armored units up first. which means actually I probably would have put lights. I don't know. I don't know because I get missile fire off the lights, so it's complicated. But yeah, I had to look up a couple of things. I was actually trying to look up the walls to make sure that they apply for both. It's just because something feels like these feel a little bit too inconclusive. Like, it's impossible to starve someone out because of the gardens, and it's almost impossible to take it by storm because, you know, if there's a lord there. However, there were sieges that just failed, and there were ones that went on for years. So I'm not sure. You know, it may be just fine. It feels so tough. This is my last round. Shit. All right. I counted up. I don't think I rolled any attacks, did I? I did not roll the attacks yet because I think I was checking things. So now I have the hard call of who is going to take the hit here. I might as well do sear with... It doesn't really matter because those javelins will be back for the next assault. This is the third round. Where do I want to take the hits is really the question. I feel like Yusuf still has enough that he could launch another attack using this bonus. Of course, that bonus would apply to later rounds, but he wouldn't be in the front. He wouldn't get his shots off in the later rounds. So yeah, I think I'll take it on sear again. And I'll probably take it on my infantry. What is the difference between the two infantry types? Oh, I see what the difference is. I've been giving missiles to these. They don't have them. That's the difference. Oh well. They're trying to make the siege work. Keep cheating in our favor, in the Muslims' favor. I seem to align with whoever's active at any given time. It's not like I'm aligned with any particular side, either the Muslims or the Christians. I know earlier I probably said we, meaning the Christians, and now I'm saying it meaning the Muslims. It's because it's their turn. They're the ones doing this, man. They're the ones who have the initiative. Oh, shit. Yeah. Pretty damn unlucky, and all of their militia were wiped out. Now we figure out our numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. No one's throwing in more than 6. And these do have to hit the armor first. It's not going to take it. And the problem is, what have I done? Yeah, I hit a couple of nice units here, but for the most part all I did was wipe out the militia, and the militia are going to come back if I hit again. Whereas my stuff probably won't be there. I got one lucky hit on the night. Let's roll survivals. These don't really matter too much. Yellow for the knights. Everybody's dead. And then we'll roll for the besieger as well, which is a lot bigger. I'll come back. One died the big death. Right then. So now we gotta check the moved fights. Pedro needs to eat twice. I'll put him back. Each of the Muslims needs to eat. We got a problem on Mutamid. Not feeding this mule doesn't help. Does anybody else help? Because our feeding is actually much lower now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. He's at a feed times 2. Yeah, I forgot. Kill people off and we can feed everyone. He's at a feed times 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. He's at a feed times 2. So all I need is 5 food now, which I actually have. Yay. Oh boy. And that was massively ineffectual. I mean, I feel like there's really, the problem is there's no way of sort of reducing an enemy force that I see. And it's just, yeah, but of course, you know, there's not that much time here. You know, a 6-8 month siege or whatever. Those things, are, a big town, a big city could live through that. Flip my javelins back over so that they're ready next time. Still have one there, and that was that card. On to Udays. This could be complex. Udays has enough to move. I'm going to start moving Udays, and we're going to hit him with this. That blocks 1 move command. Okay. Do I want to do another one? Yeah. I'll grab food instead. Because moving 1 space just doesn't seem worth it. Of course, now I'm overloaded. Fuck. Alright. We'll move into here. This is not optimal, but... And that makes us eat, and then we have to draw food again next time. On to Sear. What the hell is Sear gonna do? Well, Sear's gonna grab food. And that's 2 per, so he grabs 4 food. 4 food is enough to feed both of these. I actually have enough to feed everyone. I'm fine. Yeah, I'm going with every card. Udays. Udays will move. He gets 2 moves this time. 1, 2. Am I going the wrong way? Yeah, I actually think I am. I don't know. So fucking hard to tell. Yeah, that jihad causes issues. Fine. Although, that may be his best move, is to go deal with the jihad there. How far away am I? I am not able to trace supply anywhere, so, yeah. I'm not going to be able to take that town. That's for sure. I have to eat. And no, my provender is not good, but I can supply... not supply. I can forage fine because I'm in a friendly fortified location. We're back to Yusuf. There's enough food. What do I have coming? I have 1 more Yusuf and an Almoravid to move him back. I think we hit now. We have enough food to do so. The reason is, if we have him really, really weak somehow, I mean, we're going to lose this battle, and we're going to probably, our siege is probably broken. But there's just nothing else I can do to move forward. So I'm going to hit, if I get really, really lucky, and like wipe Pedro down almost completely out, I can chance another assault without food, with the assumption that I'll take it. But the garrison is big enough that I'm not sure I'm going to blow through it. Missile fire. Pedro was only able to take out the 1. Fire coming back was a little more effective. I remember I decided armored units, or I noted that armored units don't have to be targeted in missile fire. I think. I don't know what the fuck. So I put a couple of militia up against this thing to prevent it from being as effective, and a couple of them died, but that's it. And now we go to the big hit, which is 1, 2. I'm sorry, that's wrong. I don't want to stop. The combat system is just so tedious, right? Not a lot of combat happens, but it is really tedious in terms of the way things go. So 1, 2, 3 and a half, 4 and a half, 5 and a half, 6 and a half, 7 and a half, 8 total, and that's fine because 3 and a half of it comes from here. So no lord is putting more than 6. And it's got to be up against Yusuf. It's got to be up against that African infantry. Yusuf might be eliminated here. Unlikely because of all these siege markers. Likely, but damn close. So I get to swing back with 1 against Pedro, against one of these men-at-arms. And look, they're fine. That's 1 round. Do I want to keep going? I could call this off. I don't think I have a shot. I really don't think I have a shot. Yeah. I'm going to call it off. But I also don't think that I have a shot of winning with the Muslims without taking Cordoba. The question is, can I do some nastiness in Toledo or up in Leon over the remaining turns? And I really don't know what the answer to that is. But I may be able to bring other lords in. The Christians aren't going to have enough lords to cover all their territory, so it's beginning to look like my best shot. So I'm going to call off the siege at this point. That means I have to eat. But first, I have to check for deaths. One of my infantry survived. So now he's only eaten 1, 2, 3, 4. We can put them back. And Pedro, still eating 2? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, still eating 2. But feels pretty comfy. Should I have gone on? I don't think so. All right. Down to 2 of these. 2 of these. We're good. Sancho. Sancho's like, wow. I'm going to grab a coin. I can't grab a coin. This isn't my seat. I'm going to grab 2 provender. And I'm not sure what I do next. Yusuf. Yusuf is basically useless at this point. The siege is a failure. So I'm going to gather the entire army and move them back 1. That gets me someplace where I can muster, because I don't have a card for seer left. The siege has been abandoned. And after moving 1, I have a moved fight on me, but I don't have to deal with that quite yet. I have 2 food I could gather. That's it. Alright. That's not good. That's not going to work. Shit me. Two food. 2 food is enough to feed. Well, I have to feed myself first. And then I'll feed Almoravid, and that means Seer will drop down 1, which is not the person I want having that happen to. I wanted it to happen to Almoravid, but that's okay. We got some coin. These are all gone. Feel like I don't have quite enough table space to be playing this because I gotta have all the rules and everything, and I need these trays. I just need a little teeny bit more. All right. It's these shitty command ratings, man. They suck. All right. Puts me to the last Christian, which is again a Sancho. It's best off leaving him someplace he can muster. Do I really want to gather more provender? Yeah, why not? I mean, I don't think I have any other options. So, there we go. And then to the final one, Almoravid. Do I want to grab a coin? Or, yeah. A coin sounds good. Sounds as good as it gets. And we look at how the campaign ends. It's not the game end. It is a harvest turn. Everybody loses half their carts and mules. Well, so he gets to keep his one. He has to lose one. I'll take a mule because we're going to have wastage, but we have so much provender we're going to have to get rid of that. He drops down. One mule isn't going to do it. Like, this is the problem. A single mule is not all that useful. Do I want a single mule here? And it looks like good roads everywhere. We're fine. Okay. I like carts better than mules. As I've said before, repairs. There are no siege markers. I gave up the siege. Wastage. One asset or card for each lord with more of any one type of asset or more than one this lord card. We'll get rid of a provender. We can't carry it all anyway. We couldn't even carry it. Over here, we sure can't carry that. Wow, Pedro's got food. And Udays does not have extra of anything. Coming over here, no extra. Got extra of all kinds of things, but provender is better to give up. I actually might want to give up this fucking card. Because I don't think I'm going to storm anything. But on the other hand, I might need it for sallying. I don't know. I'm not going to sally. Screw it. We'll keep the provender. We're going to get rid of this stupid card. Didn't help anyway. Can I get rid of a feed marker? Okay. We get to choose to discard Art of War cards. I'm going to look at those, see if I have any that are totally useless. But do I want to get rid of them? Well, it depends on what they have as their bottom side. Nobody saw any value in getting rid of anything. That's going to put us over to the Levy over here. I'm going to finish up the game on this one video. I know it's going to go kind of long and whatnot, but I just don't feel like fiddling around with loading up 2 more videos. Second to last Levy in the game. We're seeing, the Muslims got thrown back. Now they have to figure out, is there any way they can at least try to close the victory point gap? Because this doesn't feel reasonable given that, as far as I'm concerned, I captured Alfonso and most of his lords. But we draw a couple of cards. Let's see. Berengar Ramon. If Count of Barcelona is with the Muslims, he's not. They discard the card. If not, the Lord may levy this card and its units for 1 asset. I guess that's this. Unless Count of Barcelona, this Lord pays 2 coin once normally to muster 2 knights, 2 men-at-arms until card is discarded. Well, 1 asset is like nothing. What's Pedro at? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. No mules. 9, 10, 11, 12 sounds good to me. So yeah, I'm going to spend one of my provender. I've got too much anyway. And get myself 2 knights and 2 men-at-arms. Over here. That's pretty damn sweet, actually. Song of Roland. An unbesieged Christian lord immediately musters 1 crusader. Eudes, let's combine the two. If unbesieged, immediately musters already vassals. Wow. And I think this is both of those are taken. It doesn't have an and, but so let's look for a crusader. That is these guys, I think. Yeah. An unbesieged Christian lord. Well, we just got a bunch of forces there. That's not good. I would like to give this to Sancho. And this is just like bonus knights that fill out his thing. But Eudes also musters all of his troops. That's going to make him slower, but more potent. I wish I didn't have to muster everyone, because this puts me just at feed ×2, and I got problems. But that's a lot of extra troops just showed up, you know, with both those cards. I had to swap that, get that guy under his thing. Let's see what we got here. Feigned retreat, hold may play in battle on round 2, all Muslim melee strikes before all Christian melee. Sounds good. Massacre. If Eudes or Crusaders are on the map, they are. Muster a Taifa Lord from the calendar or add 3 jihad. If not, add 1 jihad. Whew. 3 jihad could be very, very useful. A lord could be useful. I gotta think about this. Because I could get a Taifa Lord over here. How much is he gonna do? I'm kind of thinking if I shift up this way, that's harder to deal with. I could drop jihads. Yeah, this is hard to travel. And I don't know if you can even see. There's some trails in there. I gotta think. Take the jihads. Gives me 3 of them because of the problem, the massacre that the Christians have caused. I don't know who just did it. Not him. Maybe over here. Because Eudes is over in Christian area, but whatever. Where do we want to put him? That's 1.5 points. Well, that made up a lot of territory, honestly. And then the other one, hills. Oh, I already held one there. Okay, no biggie. Pay. All right. Christians have issues. Pedro has to pay. And we'll shift his 2 forward. Yes, we have Rodrigo coming in. Exciting stuff is happening. Sancho has no money, cannot pay. I leave. It doesn't happen right away, but I will be leaving. Did I give him? I gave him the fucking Crusaders. Knowing that was the case. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I don't really have more, like, I would have to go up another food with him. I knew that Eudes was getting this. I think I'll bring the Crusader in with Eudes because he is a Christian lord, so that's not a problem. 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9. Perfect. Okay. This is just making up, for a bad decision, but it doesn't, I don't know. I don't. Okay. What do we got over here? We need money for both Sir and for Yusuf. Yusuf's money is less easily used than anyone else's, so I will use both there and shift both of these commanders one more. Almoravid could spend one, but honestly, he doesn't look terribly valuable right now. After pay, I can put coin into the Taifa box now or not? No, that's after disbanding. Okay, that makes sense. You wouldn't want somebody running, who's about to run away, throwing their coin in the Taifa box and saying, yep, that's it. I have tons in there, though. So maybe it makes sense for Almoravid to keep a buck there and operate here. The problem is he's my better commander. He can't command Yusuf. But he could be a lieutenant who commands Seer, I believe. Not positive about that. I gotta look that up. But I know he can't command the marshal. And then I could leave Yusuf behind to defend Seville against Pedro, which probably seems like a good idea. So we did the payment. We go to disband. Christians have to disband first. That will be Sancho. Sancho is coming off, and he takes his vassal with him. This is not a big deal because he's not gone for good. But he's gone for good in terms of the game. And so it's like he's not captured or he doesn't give up or anything, which I feel should have some sort of penalty and victory points, which doesn't. But he does leave the board, and that is an issue. He is the only one disbanding, which means we go to the pariahs. I could throw coin. No, this is coin to the Christians. When do I give coin to the thing? I can't fucking remember. It's down here in the campaign. Okay. I knew it had to be after, but I thought I found the answer. Okay. I got to think about the Christians mustering. Talk a little bit about my thinking here. I always do, right? Yeah. Okay. The first thing is, without a marshal, I have basically no chance of taking anything. One lord on his own isn't going to be able to take a stronghold. The reason being, the best you can get is one siege marker. Even a weak stronghold has walls of 4. The smallest one, sure, it only has 2 dudes, but I don't know. I mean, maybe with the right cards, the storm cards and stuff like that, I could take something tiny. Is there anything tiny near me? Not much. So my feeling is to try to prevent the Muslims from getting points from ravaging me, and maybe to do a little bit of that on my own. The one exception to that is, hey, I've got this Hueste card here. This lord marches as a martial tour from locales in Taifas, not with Alfonso. These are all Taifas. So if I could get Eudes down here, that would be of some value. I'm going to be able to maybe get Rodrigo. Let's take a look. Pay 2 coin to muster Rodrigo from ready. And I think I might be able to give him Cordoba as his seat. Now, if that happens, here's the problem. I could make Pedro a marshal. I can't because I don't have room for it. that would be about it. Now, I can make Rodrigo a lieutenant, and that's strong enough. So that's my possibility for being able to do more than I can right now. So I'm going to leave this alone because Udes and Pedro are too far apart. Let's look at some of the others. Paying 1 to use an entire card to ravage across up to 2 ways. I'm a little too far for that right now. And I also need more transport. There's no question of that. Muslims ravaging kingdoms must roll 1 to 3 for effect. I like this one. This is going to reduce my point. But that won't work in Toledo. That'll only work in Leon or Aragon, so I'm not sure. And then this lord with knights gets an extra command. Also appealing. Udes is too slow, is his problem. And especially if I'm pulling Rodrigo in to command this, I can do more with Udes. So I think I'm going to take this. And I'll take a cart, because I need more goods with him. So that's that. What about Pedro? What can he do? Well, I can't muster this guy. He's too far away. He's got too many points away. I could get more transport capability, which seems pretty damn valuable to me, to tell you the truth. I can't really add any cards because I'm full up. So where's my cart? How come I got a big mule there? Alright, so let's go up to a cart times 3. I've already got my surf, so I don't have to worry about adding one of them. And that will be, I guess, what I choose to do. I like this, but I think that Udes can protect one side, and Rodrigo and Pedro can protect this other side. Now it's time to think about the Muslims. Somewhat regretting, I'm not going to change this, but not throwing this card into the Arts of War so that I could use it as a muster. Taifa lords may march directly among ports and Sevilla, Taifa cities and towns, where there's no Christian lord. That would give me the capability to shift over, to here, say, relatively quickly with one march, I guess. I'm not really sure. It says made march directly. It doesn't say what it costs or anything, but I'm assuming for one command I can march to here as if it's away or whatever, and then it would take me, whatever to get up into here, ravage this, getting a half point, and then I don't know what, or I could go this way where there's more ravaging goods available or something. I really don't know, but I'm not going to do it. I was thinking, hey, this card's not that bad. I could march down here for 2 and then sail somewhere else, way up here or something, where I can have more effect. But it's looking like maybe there's not that much effect. I got to look at the rest of the cards, see what I might want, and I think I'm better off because I have a marshal. I think I'm better off trying to bring new lords in. Again, looking through my cards, I see, this is damp. Probably from my pipe, but maybe, probably had my pipe down there. Some of my spit stuck to the card. Okay, pretty exciting. So, I got a couple of cards that are of interest, but again, I don't think the Muslims are going to take anything. It's just too hard to do, although there's some possibility of something coming from here, maybe gathering together and taking Jaika there or something along those lines. That might not be out of reach, depending on, that might force Udes to move, all kind of ugly stuff to happen. So that's an appealing choice. However, I don't have those lords to do a levy with, so I can't add cards that'll help them in the siege operations. This force, I don't think, is capable of sieging much of anything. I mean, I might be able to take this, right? And what's that worth? Is it a single jihad or is it 2? It's a conquered marker. Wait a minute. that can't be right. I think those get replaced with jihads. So it's like a half a point, you know. The same as I'd get for ravaging it, and if I ravage it, I won't get more. What is kind of interesting is Yusuf Sir and Muslim lieutenants ravaged for one extra province and may bypass without stopping. This is time for me to make my decision. I think I want this on Al-Mutamid because he has a higher command than either of my lords. Then there's this. If this lord is closer, this only can be put on Yusuf. This lord, it should say Yusuf if that's the case, right? Is closer than any Christian to jihad eligible locale. He can use his entire command card to add a jihad there. If I took Yusuf with me, I could, you know, move forward, get into position, take a jihad here. You know, it could allow me to bypass the whole siege mechanism with one card. That's interesting, and I'm not sure. But what I am sure is that I don't have anything, well, I've got to carry enough food for my people. That's a problem. Because Al-Mutamid only has one. They each, well, Yusuf has a pile of these. That makes him really attractive to bring with me just for all that cartage. Wow. But my other leaders that I am very interested in, Al-Mustain, everyone except Abu Bakr really is of interest to me. Abu Bakr doesn't really want to fight. He's got a low chance. Al-Muqtawahil is over here. He's got a lower chance. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to spend Sear's command, although I hate not giving him more transport. What am I going to do with Yusuf? I'm going to spend, well, I'm going to spend one of my Yusuf commands to try to get Al-Mustain on the board. I get him. That's good. I'll spend, I haven't committed to these yet. That's the problem. I'll spend one of Al-Mutamid's because I don't think, I don't know, it's such a shame not to grab troops with him though. Wait, he has to be a lieutenant to use this, which means he's only taking one of them with him, which would be Sear. I like the bypass without stopping. That's the main cool thing with this. So if I'm taking that, and if I'm taking this, do I need a mule? I'll take a cart instead of a mule. That's his one. His one is used up. Yusuf's used one. I am going to use Yusuf's second one to try to bring Al-Mundir in. I get him as well. I don't really want to bring Al-Muqtawakal in because if I'm using this guy as a lieutenant, which is I think my plan, he can't command additional forces very easily. My chances of getting him is low. So we'll throw him down. We're getting these two. And what do? I have spent Sear. I've spent this. I'll spend this on him. And I will give him more troops. I don't have a transport. That's the problem. All my transport is on fucking Yusuf. Yeah, I think I need the transport for Sear. I'll grab a mule for transport because it doesn't really hurt me. And this card, like I said, and we'll set the rest of this up and see how it works out. I honestly don't know. Now we got 2 new lords up there. Their forces applied. I'm not allowed to muster with them. I really liked it better when I was. It allows a threat to develop really, really rapidly, which, I don't know, you know, probably isn't realistic. But everything in this game is just, you're so hindered by you know, having to gather your provender, having to gather your transport, having to do all this stuff, and then you're like, well, how do I get any victory points still? But we shall see. That brings us over to the call to arms. And Rodrigo and okay, pay 2 coin to muster Rodrigo. I have no coin. I can't muster him. Eudes is already there. Which means I don't get Rodrigo. And I was hoping I had him. I don't know why I thought I would be able to get him. Okay. And there's nothing. If Yusuf is at a Taifa seat, muster that lord from calendar. Yeah. Or shift his marker 2 boxes to the right. All right. What the hell? No harm in that. I'm at a Taifa seat. Almoravid's going to be useful. And that will throw us over to the campaign. And I'm done for a bit. So now the Christians in the campaign phase. This is the hand they have to play with. It's 3 cards from each leader and a pass. That's all I have. It's a 7-card turn. I'm pretty sure that these can't take anything. I'm pretty sure that my guys can't take anything. So the real question is, what do I want to do? And I think I want to open with a pass, take a Pedro. I kind of want to delay my need to do anything. I'm going to take a Eudes first because I'm going to need to gather food with him. Then take a Pedro. And I think I'm just going to alternate from there because I honestly don't know what I want to do. I'm actually going to put 2 Pedros here and a Eudes at the end. The reason for that selection is that Eudes wants to give these guys enough time to commit to where they're going to go. These guys, yeah, I want to give them time to commit as well, but there's not a lot they can do. You know, if I had that particular card, I could have sailed around, but the hold version doesn't allow that. And if the capacity, I don't remember what they're called, asset, whatever, was available, I would know that it was available. I would go over and look. But I look at what he's got, and it's not gonna do much. This is the 2 seats. This is a little bit more ease in movement and stuff. And I'm kind of like, well, that's odd, but okay. But yeah, I figure these are going to move away, and then that opens me up to advancing and maybe taking a small town. Although I don't know. Pedro just doesn't look. He's got a big force, so he could do some shit. I kind of would like to defend with him though, and I don't know what is going to be required for that. Certainly don't have enough to take a city, but I might have enough to take, you know, one of these smaller locations. Again, let me look and see what we're looking at here. A castle and a town are both pretty close to the same. They also don't provide much more. The castle, you know, point-wise, they're the same, so might as well go for the easier castle if that's an issue. But the nearest castle is over here. Here's a town. We could do that. Whatever. All right, let's program our Muslims, who are much, much more complicated. But we kind of know what we're going to do. Almoravid is going to be a lieutenant, and he's going to lead Seer. I'm going to leave Yusuf behind and probably not do a hell of a lot. This is unfortunate because Yusuf's got my carts and my provender, but I think I'm okay with this other force anyhow. So this is what I've programmed here. Seer is going to be going under his lieutenant, Almoravid, he has a better capacity to grab food than Almoravid does. Even though he has less command, each one can use all of these carts, hit here, and get 2 per command. So I can get 4 provender from him. Here I would only be getting 1 per command, which is 3 total. Although, wait. Oh no, this is ravage. Yeah, okay. There's something that allows you to supply for an extra provender, which is also kind of cool. Then I'm moving these guys, collecting up enough food, and moving up. I'm going to try to take that or something. With that heavy investment of them. And then Almoravid's going to move me forward. Now, I just don't have enough commands, you know. One leader can be very active. A whole bunch of leaders, it doesn't really give you that much more activity, right? It's just the nature of the game, and it works fine. On top of that, I'm allowed to pull the coin from all of these, and so now I have 7 in there. I'm not expecting to be besieged, so I think putting all my coin in there is wise, especially since I can use that coin for Sir and Yusuf. It's not just limited to the Taifa lords, if it's in here. If it's with the lords, well, they have to be stacked with the proper lord to combine, and you know, whatever happens, happens. Okay. Anything else? We created our lieutenant. Yep. All right, so let's flip one over, and we pass. Over here. Seer goes, I was going to grab food. That's 4 provender. And I'm capable of carrying how much? I'm going to check. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm capable of carrying 4. I could grab more with him, but then it slows me down, and that's no good. All right. Here's the problem. If I move into Badajoz, it's a pariahs area. Now, there's some points that changed hands. 1, 2. 2 of these pariahs have changed hands, and that takes away from the Christian victory points. See, it's getting pretty close. It's going to be, it's not a complete blowout, which is good because, yeah, I gained 2 cities and a typhus, but I also lost, you know, the King of Leon and his major folk. All right. Eudes. Eudes has no food. He badly wants food. He's not happy. I got 2 commands. I can grab 2 provender. Okay. Almundar. Almundar needs to grab food. Now, I only can carry 2 without being overladen. I can move here 1, 2, 3 overladen. And I think that's actually my plan. If I grab 2 food, I don't want to move, though. That's the problem. I could pass with one of my actions. Any other commands I'd want to do? I don't think so. I mean, yeah, if I could tax an addition or whatever. I don't want to move because then I have to eat. I mean, I could. Yeah. All right. 1, 2, move. Feed. It doesn't really hurt me, but it also doesn't really help me. Pedro. How's Pedro's food situation? Pedro's food situation is non-existent. I have no benefits. I use my 2 commands. Almustain. Almustain only has 2 command. Oh, this guy. No, he still only has 1 seat. He has these two things, but he only has one seat. Hilk provender. Udays. Well, Udays is full up. I think I want to move over to deal with them. Bounce, bounce, bounce. 1, 2, and I have to eat both my provender. As you can see, it's going to take me, it's going to be a pain in the ass to get into any kind of engagement. Almoravid is up again. I have only one provender. I could move here and lay siege. And I can still supply that way. So that's what I'm going to do. 1, 2, 3. I lay siege to the city, or to the town. Pedro. Pedro's going to grab a couple more. Oh, wait. Pedro's all full up. Shit. I didn't realize I had that much. Pedro's got a hard call here, because he's got nothing he can really do. Laying siege is highly unlikely. That cost me 2 to move there. And I will also lay siege. I'm not thrilled about it. And there goes my provender. Okay. Almoravid. Almoravid will cost him... Oh, wait, he's the 3. Hold on. Almoravid was here with 2. I can go here. I didn't feed either. Shit. I could only go there, grab another food, and then eat. Okay. But now I'm on Almoravid. I hope I'm in the right number. Now I'm on Almoravid. Almoravid is the one with 3. I can grab no provender. I move. That's one action. The siege isn't there yet. Now, if I put the siege there, I can't grab more food. I can't ravage, anything like that. So instead, I'm going to grab a bypass, I guess. That was 1. Because I've got a mule with 1 provender. I've got to move fought on me. I could now ravage. Okay. So we find a ravage marker. This takes a half victory point away, but it does some... I mean, it gives me a half victory point right now, and look how close it is now. But it gives me a provender, which I immediately eat, and a loot, which I will hold on to, although that is potential food. This is gone. I've eaten. That is 2 of my actions. I could resupply, but instead I'm going to start the siege. There we go. Come over here. What do I have? 1 left. Should have 2 there. Yeah. Pedro again. Pedro can't improve his siege, but I could roll for surrenders. I don't really want to lose my army. But I have a feat of 2, so I'm going to use both my commands. Oh wait, I have 4 provender there. I keep seeing that as 1. I don't know. The visual is hard. Yeah, I'm gonna go for a siege there. So I roll a die on a 1. Because I haven't ravaged the territory, the city falls. It's worth a shot, man. Oh well. And now I have to eat twice, because I have a feed times 2. Nothing else gets placed. We go over here. It's Almoravid, who is sitting with 2 provender. And I'm going to have to spend both my movement to get it there. And then I eat one of them. Finally, Udays, who has no food, I will, I guess, supply twice or once. It could be in my seat. Twice. I'm going to have to give something up. So let's, I mean, it really kind of doesn't make a difference, does it? Yeah, I'd lose my cart possibly. So he's done. Last but not least, we get an Almoravid. Note, I wouldn't have been able to trigger anything here because they each only have 3 cards. Almoravid does not have, he has food with him. And I can travel at normal speed. I have a 3 movement. 1, 2, 3 to there. We could lay siege to that town, then I wouldn't get any muster if I do that. What if instead I go 1, 2 to there? I've got a move fight on me. And now I trace back and get a supply. He eats his. Seer has to eat twice. And you can see not a lot happened, right? We ran through all the cards. Sure, a siege was set up. I moved into this typhus, which I'm not in a friendly stronghold, so I cannot muster. Crap. Well, I think if he musters and turns this friendly, I can muster in there, which is of some value. Okay. And we hit towards the end of the campaign. Growth, there's nothing special this turn, is there? No, we're here. Harvest, repairs, nobody's got a bad siege. Wastage. Didn't we ravage? Somehow I put that instead of a ravage. Okay. Right? Yeah. Wastage. I did his. On him. I'm trying to decide, do I want to keep these for a chance to take this town? It's probably the best thing I can possibly do. So yeah, I'll keep my cart and I'll keep my my extra provender. I don't really know if I need that many carts if I'm not going anywhere. Why don't I get rid of a cart instead? Okay. Over here, wastage. Yusuf has to lose something. I'll lose him a food. He really isn't doing anything with that. I mean, he could lose a card. It doesn't make a damn bit of difference. Here we're good. Here we have to lose a provender or something else. And if I want to go forward, I want to keep my things. Here we're good. Here we're good. You can discard Arts of War cards. Let me look. I have a lot of nice, useful cards for the Muslims. One that can change Merida over. I could drop something down and create some jihad there. I've got another one that'll help me there. Let me see here. I've got this one. Playing Typho with Yusuf Sarah al-Motamid to remove Conquered from an empty town or add 2 jihad. So I could get control of a couple of locations. That could include Badajoz, by the way. I don't want to do that until after I try to muster, though. This, play to add 1 jihad, or if Yusuf or Sur and Reconquista or Parias, 3 jihad. So, yeah, we got... we're going to be putting a lot of points, and actually, if we look at the victory conditions, it looks to me like the Muslims have this game in the bag. The Christians feel kind of like they had been in good shape, and now they're like, whoa, whoa, this got a lot closer all at once. Happy with the cards there. Unstack lieutenants, and advance the campaign over to a levy here. However, some money's going to have to be paid. And there are problems with that. Pedro has no money. He's leaving. Unless I can figure something out like magical. He is leaving the campaign at this point. Yude's, one of his subordinates, is leaving. But I've got no cash on either of these. And yeah, I think the Muslims have this one in the bag, honestly. All right, okay, here we are. I've got some kind of truck across over on the street, and a squirrel running by. Here we are at Almoravid, last turn of the game, entering into the Levy phase. A bunch of Muslims have risen up to support Seer, and the Christians are in really iffy shape. It is Tuesday. I've been slowing down. So yesterday I didn't play at all again. But what happened was I went out to do some yard work on my hill. And every time I challenged this certain little area of my hill that's got blackberry brambles, the whole hill would be covered if it could, if it could manage it. Like if it weren't for me, it was when I moved in. But there's a certain little area that has blackberry brambles that I can't quite reach very easily. And anytime I attack this area from above, you end up kind of hurting myself. And, I twisted both my ankles, actually. One of them worse than the other. I don't think I ever get out of this without twisting my ankles when I come from above. And coming from below is tricky too. There's a lot of dampness under there and everything. So there's like this nasty little strip of brambles that I can't quite reach. I don't know how. I kind of did it on my ass, scooting downward eventually, but it's just nasty. And I tried to put some terraces in by putting wood to help secure the hill and then throwing dirt on top of it and whatnot. That didn't really work. The wood kind of moves when I step in those areas. All right, so we're in the Levy, and it is time for me to shuffle the decks. I just really wanted to talk so much that I came on before I knew what I was doing. But yeah, so anyway, yesterday, after hurting myself kind of first thing in the day, I had some raid I had to take care of too, but then I was kind of I threw myself into one of my little mini addictions. I'm not done with it yet, but these are things that just totally absorb me for a day or two, and then I'm done. Computer game type thing, whatever. It doesn't really matter. It's similar to the kind of effect that I get off of when I'm reading a book that I really like, and I'm just like, all I want to do is read, and I just squat down and read. Except I don't enjoy it to the same level. As usual, we draw a couple of these. Supplies! May play upon a march to enemy stronghold where there's no lard. Place 2 siege there, and then storm the walls with walls -1. This is a really powerful card. Unfortunately, I've already got my siege underway there. Unlikely I'll get a chance to use it, but whatever. Genoa and Pisa. Place ravaged at 2 unravaged enemy ports where there are no Muslim lords. This little random card could be the difference between a victory and a defeat in the game. This is kind of, I gotta say, Coin kind of has this kind of thing too, where the game gets close enough, to take another Volko design, the game gets close enough, most games, that a card that, swings the victory points by 1 could be a huge deal. Now that's actually a good thing in my opinion. I like that. What I don't like in Coin is that it's relatively easy to keep the game that close. Here in a 2-player game, one player can outplay the other, but in the Coin series, the problem is that as long as, the multiplayer dynamic is working correctly, if somebody's taking a lead, the 3 other players dump them down, you know? Okay. What do we want to hit with ravaged markers? Kind of doesn't matter. It's just really points. But I want to put them far from places where I would go. And that gets me 1 more full victory point there. So now it's a 2-point game. And we go over to our buddies over here. Swollen River. I think I already have one. Spear Wall. May play in battle any round. 1 round. 2 Muslim Lords armored foot units have armor +1 against horse melee. And there's a marker for spear walls. I don't know if there's a whole bunch of them. Nah, there's just a couple. That's good. What the hell are these? You must come with a card. Ribat monks. Yeah, so we actually have one of these, don't we? No. I guess we were considering one. Now it's pay time. Pay is a problem. I mean, it's not. So for the Christians, Pedro would love to pay. He has no loot, no provender. I didn't ravage the area, which was dumb of me, sort of, except like I couldn't get supplies from here. So there's a reason for it. So he's going to be leaving the map. And Eudes also has no coin. He's going to lose one of his vassals. I'm lucky nothing fell back. This isn't good. For the Muslims, both Yusuf and Sir are short. They have no money on them. But, luckily for me, I dumped a lot of money in the typhus box. So they will pay off. And I'll push them out 1 more turn. Those last 2 turns are not real. It's disband time. We get rid of Pedro and we get rid of this. This, it cannot be mustered this turn, which means it just can't be mustered this game. Oh, this is Eudes. Oh, crap. All the Christians are leaving the map. Well, isn't that special? I didn't realize that. That can't be. No, this is actually Eudes. See, it's hard to tell because there's no die on him. I wish there was something to mark him. Oops. Okay. Horrible. I just lost the game with an automatic victory. Because that is going to take both of the Christian lords off the map. Now, if I had ravaged here, or I don't know, not a lot of other options. But yeah, Christianity has just lost in the worst possible manner by having no lords left on the map. Now, this is kind of sad because basically what happened is I left the same time that I stopped fighting last time to go home, tend to the stuff in the kingdoms and whatnot. And yeah, there's no truce that's automatically in play on this turn. There's like this magical truce that the Christians deciding to hold their Kyria cause. Let me make sure. Like, to me, what should happen is the Muslims are allowed to just play out the rest of the game and conquer what they will and take what they will. And that's not going to be much, to be honest, right? I might be able to get this. I might be able to get some ravage markers. I probably would have been able to make up this difference, but it's not guaranteed by any means. So let's look victory. Victory's not there. Win. Okay. Page through the book. Look for. And, you know, in a way, this is very apropos to have the game end this way, because it's these little kind of fuck-ups, and I've made quite a few throughout the game, that really cost you and really screw you over. If you're able to keep the balance and kind of have a vision for everything that's going to happen from your choices, you can have a pretty good feel for the game. There's one thing that you can't just have with the balance of the your supplies and whatnot, which is, hey, do I have a chance of storming this place? You know, and then there's a fair amount of luck in the game, of course, too. But I don't know where victory is. No, it's got to be. I don't know what to look under. I mean, victory is what I would look under. And then we have all these scenarios. They don't have their own victory conditions. There we go. It's where it belongs, but... A side may win an immediate victory during play. Thanks. Here we go. If at any moment during campaign, a side has no mustered lords on the map. So here's the thing. I actually might have a lord on the map. I might have Rodrigo. Nope. I have no money. I can't recruit him. Yeah. It's over. I don't want to play out the rest of the Levy phase. These guys are gone. They have no cash. They can't pull anything in. And having no cash is very easy to get yourself in. You go marching off somewhere and you don't have a source of money anymore. The only way you have a source of money is to ravage an enemy location. It doesn't have to be a fortification or whatever. I could be ravaging stuff here. Now that is all absolutely reasonable, right? Like, the armies will melt away under those circumstances. I'm not disagreeing with that. The one thing that I am kind of disagreeing with is I just feel like the Muslims should have the opportunity, or the Christians should have the opportunity to use their banked victory points for this last month of the game to have a chance of winning, even if the Muslims are able to do everything that they can. I find this disturbing. I am going to actually look in the errata and see if that has changed, because it just does not seem fair. Like, look, if the Muslims were ahead and they wiped out all the Christian lords, and we're not talking about wiped out here, right? We're talking about Pedro has decided to abandon his siege and go home the same time he did last year, right? The entire Christian force gave up last year here. And in fact, by the rules, they would have had to do it here. And the Muslims just said, yep, you know, even though we have the advantage right now, that's fine. Have fun with your court. We're all going home too, just because. Whereas here, I feel sort of the opposite. The Christians are all going home. I mean, it's the same kind of situation. The Christians are all being taken off the map. The Muslims should be able to fight their way, you know, through to try to get the extra victory points and whatever. It would really be more an exercise in calculation than anything else, because the Christians can't do a damn thing. And I could do it ahead of time and say, well, you know, I think I can get 3 victory points, which wouldn't be enough, right? You know, because it's 1, 2, 3 is what 3 would tie it. But instead, nope. You know, that 3 victory points might be a difficult thing to do, right? The victory points from this would make up for it. That would be 1, I think. Is that a 1 or a 2? It's a 1. So I think that would be 1 victory point for conquering the town. And that would be an actual conquered marker, not a jihad marker there. But it would flip the ravage over. So then now I'm at just a half victory point. That's if I succeed with that. And, you know, that's sort of the biggest thing I can do, right? Well, not really. I have these war drums. I could conceivably do a couple of ravages in here and get a fair amount of victory points. I could send a lord up here to ravage. It wouldn't be too tough to get. This is another 1.5 victory points. So now we're looking at 1.5, which gets me to tie, and another half victory point if I can take the city. Could I get anywhere else? Yeah, I could probably push up this far. Remember, the loot becomes food, so my operations would be able to live off the land. And this would be the kind of classic chevauché type operations that I can remember. I'm trying to. There was an old thread back on BGG, and I know Volko was involved on it. A number of people were, you know, everybody in the community, in the wargaming community there, it seemed that I recognized at the time seemed to be involved in this one. It was kind of, hey, what are things that, you know, you haven't seen before that you would like to? And, you know, more detailed ancient China, like a GBOH in China, whatnot. Was one of the things I wanted. But one of the things I really wanted was the chevauché type of game. And this game and series actually really drills that in, because so much of your victory points can come from raiding and whatnot. Anyway, gonna go look at this, make sure that there's not something, but I feel like there's an exciting, interesting end here that's just been taken away because Pedro and Eudes have decided not to pursue the campaign in a fashion that seems not very different from all the Christians packing up and going to the Curia. Obviously, I did look them up. There's nothing in there for this. And this is really kind of disturbing because the Christians could be winning completely. It's not like the lords were forcibly disbanded or anything. They disbanded under the normal mechanism of, yeah, it's time to go home, screw it, we don't want to keep campaigning, right? Something like where Alfonso and his army were probably all captured and are being held for ransom, that I feel has some sort of relevance, and in and of itself quite possibly should have been the end of this campaign and an automatic victory, right, for the Muslims. However, this doesn't feel at all like that, right? There's a lot the game gets very right. I just feel like there's some things where around the edges it's not working too well. And the not working too well is fine as a game, but not good as historical victory conditions. Anyway, because of all of this, I'm not going to just say it's over. What I would want to do if I was playing against somebody is I'd say, yeah, look, you're the Muslims, you have one turn left. Can you kind of demonstrate to me that you'd get the extra, what was it? One, no, it's 2 points. 2 points, not 1.5, right? Let me see. 1, 2. I can count, right? Yeah, it's 2 extra points. This would have been a lot closer just a moment ago. Anyway, let us continue on and at least get to the point where we can demonstrate that the Muslims will have a victory here. And I'm not sure that they will. Okay. So, Christian muster, I have no lords who I can rely on to use their lordship rating to bring things in. Now, if Eudes was on the board or whatever, I would still have 2, but there would be no additional lords I could bring in. The only thing is Rodrigo, and you have to pay him. So, we're not mustering anything, which means we go over to the Muslims and here things are kind of interesting. I do not need more lords. I have enough lords, I think. Now, I don't know, Yusuf may muster a lord or something, because I can't ravage this. Okay. This is going to be key to my choices. No, not this. This is going to be key. I mean, that's important, but this is going to be key to my choices. Yusuf Sir and Muslim lieutenants ravage for 1 extra province. I can't declare him a lieutenant without putting him on top of Mur. And may bypass without stopping. That's the biggie, being able to bypass without stopping. Although maybe not that huge. All right. Let's see. Zaragoza I have up there. May I actually want to make a lieutenant here so that I can press on. I don't know. Well, I'll figure out what my muster choices are. It's actually pretty complicated because I'm at 5 lords now, and I have like a complex calculus of how do I gain my points, you know, because if I could guarantee myself 2.5 victory points, I'd say it's over, you know. I don't have to actually play it out. Hold cards in hand, which I believe guarantee this. Hold, play in a Taifa with Yusuf Sur al-Mutamid to remove conquered from an enemy town or add 2 jihad. So, if Sur or Mutamid moved into here, I would get 2 jihad that I could get off this card. That's one of the 2 victory points I need. Well, I need 3. Play to add 1 jihad, or if Yusuf or Sur in any Reconquista or Parias Taifa, add 3 jihad. Okay, so I can add 5 jihad, that's 2.5 points, just by moving into here. It's game over, right? Already. In addition, I will be able to do some raids and whatnot. So I am going to stop it here. I see no reason to play out the mechanisms themselves. And this would be the kind of demonstration that I would hope that the Muslim player could make, you know, especially with 1 turn left, where all my lords just left the battle, just as they did last year. But this time, the Muslims would have been able to, you know, well, they're not able to continue. Instead, they just automatically win. But in both cases, it feels artificial to me, right? So, if the Christians calling a curia, here's the differences I would make. For the curia, if the Christians call a curia and the Muslims don't want that to happen, they give the Christians the victory points for the curia, but none of the other effects take place. The Muslims get to continue their campaign. That would be my change for that. And for this, I would just say, well, look, I'm not wiped out. I still have lords. I just don't get to play with them. So the Muslims would get to play as much as they like on whatever remaining turns they are without any opposition, you know? And usually with an opponent, you wouldn't want to play the whole thing out. So something like this that just demonstrates, hey, look, I can make enough victory points to swing this over, and it's probably going to get worse. And for a hand-wavy argument, or one that, you know, fits the storyline better, fucking King Alfonso has been conquered, has been captured, you know? Sure. Maybe if the Christians held out strongly enough that they have points, maybe the negotiations would be better. I still think you conquer the enemy king, you know, in this kind of circumstance, and you have won a victory. You know, how big it is in the strategic sense is hard to tell. but at least in the tactical sense, in the operational sense of this 2 years, that defeat of Alfonso's army, to me, signified the end of the game in any realistic interpretation. I've got no way to record that, though. The only thing that I could say is, look, if Alfonso or maybe Cyr are involuntarily, are permanently removed from the game for any reason, that's an interesting question, right? Like, if Alfonso's army starved to death and he didn't have the coin and he was back here, that wouldn't mean that Alfonso was captured. That would mean he lost his army, and I feel kind of like him not being able to participate is exactly the right punishment. However, think about the situation during the 100 Years' War where the English captured the French king and held him for ransom and essentially won that phase of the war through that battle. And I don't remember which battle that was. It was one of the big ones. It wasn't Agincourt. It would be either Crécy or Poitiers. And I can't remember which. But it's this kind of attention. So much of the attention of the game is focused on, trying to make it a balanced and fun to play game and whatever, that I feel like some key issues have been kind of dropped, right? From like the playtest considerations and whatnot. So something like this situation. Look, Alfonso was fucking captured. Was he? Or did he escape? We don't know, right? And maybe that's what the victory points mean, but it doesn't feel that way. It really doesn't, because the rest of his force is in the field against him. Nobody's negotiating a ransom. Nobody's, I mean, something like Alfonso, he might have been traded for Toledo. Recently captured, certainly Cordoba, but he might have been traded for the entire Toledo typhus to return it to a Muslim ruler, and not Al-Qadir, who... but yeah, that's the sort of feeling that I have, is that the game as a whole, the playtesting has been so focused, perhaps, although maybe not all that well, given the fact that there's at least, it looks like more than one of these full pages. It just looks tighter fit of errata to try to balance the game, right? But it really feels to me like there's a couple of edge cases that's kind of the... What I'm going to say is that it's the new design that Levy and Campaign series really is, grinding up against the reality. And we don't see that in more traditional war games, for the simple reason that those traditional war games have had 60 years about to develop, right? And so we're really used to how the mechanisms work, and the designer and the playtesters can focus on where these things sort of grind together, where the mechanism doesn't, where some piece of chrome needs to be added. And that's what's the issue with this game, I think. I think there's a piece of chrome that needs to be added. The couple of things that I explained for the victory conditions. But what if Alfonso is captured? What does it mean, right? If he's permanently removed due to a battle loss, losing all his forces due to battle, what are the chances that he's actually captured? Roll a die or whatever. And if he's killed, what would that mean? And all kind of stuff like that. So there's all kind of weird interpersonal type stuff that it's almost like you'd want a random events table to determine what would happen with it, right? And That kind of chrome burdens designs down, but it would also, in addition to burdening the design down, it would also be very unsatisfying, I think, to the type of player looking at the newer type of games and whatnot. Anyway. As to wrap, if I could actually rap, I would do that at the end of every game. Or if I liked rap or anything. I don't know. So I think what we saw, first of all, I made mistakes. There's no question about that. I made rules mistakes, and I certainly made major blunders, in terms of the tactics of the game. But I don't feel like I had a representation that was terribly ahistorically based, right? Sure, the Christians came down, they grabbed Toledo, boom, turn one, faster than historical. You take the advantages away and try to do the balancing of the game, I'm not sure that they have a likely chance of taking it on turn two. I got very, very lucky to get it on turn one. From there, it was a fairly hard slog to make it to Cordoba. Sure, it didn't take too long. It took me like a couple of months or whatever, but I felt like that was more stately, right? In terms of my advance, etc., in terms of my chances of getting it, it wasn't just a really lucky shot. And then, when we hit the really key event, that would be, I'm trying to figure out when that happened. Was that back here? I think it was. Or it may have been in the new year. But yeah, when we hit the key event of Alfonso's entire army being cut off from a retreat route. How believable is that? Right? Like, it might not so what is represented by that? It might not have been the capture of Alfonso and all his lords. It might have been just such a dissolution of his army because he's so far behind lines when he ran that, he has no chance of recovering and coming back on the map. And under those circumstances, automatic victory for Alfonso being defeated in battle probably doesn't pertain. The game probably got it right? The question is, when are you captured in battle and when are you not, right? If it had been a siege or whatever, yeah, he would have been definitely captured. But sometimes in these big routes, an entire army gets captured, right? Well, not an entire army, but the leadership does get captured. And there's nothing in the game to there's no mechanism in the game to allow for that. That's the kind of chromey stuff that I think would really, really piss off people who want the modern style game in terms of a competition. Like, somehow losing a massive battle and rolling a die and maybe having a 50-50 chance of you just lose the game based on that would bug them in a way that drawing this card that gives an extra victory point and hands the game to someone on the last turn of the game doesn't bug them, I guess. I don't know. I'm okay with either of those, as long as there's sort of a historical believability and they don't bog the game down too much. And I don't think, I think some kind of thing to determine, if a lord is involuntarily retired from the game, permanently retired from the game due to a combat result. I would think a siege would more or less guarantee that, but again, well, no. I was going to say honors of war, but I don't know how much they apply in this period. This is a little early for honors of war to be being handed out. Although the practice did exist already, I don't know how common it was. And I'm just thinking, like, a place where the Lord will never surrender, therefore you never get an honors of war type situation in the game itself. So then the idea of some kind of negotiated handing over a castle, which did happen, maybe not with someone who would have a cylinder in the game, present, but what does a dude with a cylinder, Are they really that much different from a dude who doesn't have a cylinder who's in charge of the castle? I don't know. But yeah, it's impossible for just a surrender die roll to work, which kind of feels like the type of thing that would allow for an honors of war. But then it's also so you'd be basically be saying, well, if honors of war type, if a surrender of the castle happens after a storm, rather than actually taking it, or if some sort of negotiated ending to a siege were to happen, it's represented in the storm somehow as an abstraction. I don't really buy that, and if I believed that was the case, I would be very unhappy. I don't know. I don't know how much I really like the idea of lords never surrender, like a location never surrendering if a lord with a cylinder is present. That feels also like an abstraction. But again, how would you handle that? Roll the surrender dice, and then on a 1 in 6, they do actually surrender? I don't know. But certainly you could starve out even important lords without having to storm the castle. Anyway, things definitely looked like the Christians were doing very, very well early in the game. But the blunder with Alfonso, getting him trapped behind lines so his entire army was wiped out, that changed the flavor of the game significantly. And then I think that actually happened here. This was the bad turn. It should have never happened, right? The Christians should have been able to escape on that turn. They didn't want to on that turn, though. Like, if I had had a choice of Curia or not, I would have continued what I was doing, I think. I'm not positive. But once that happened, we were in a situation where it looked like the Muslims were just going to win. But they don't have unimpeded power, as shown by the fact that when Yusuf Sir and Al-Mutamid laid siege to Cordoba, they were left, they walked out of it not in good shape, and Pedro was still fine, right? And then Pedro made the mistake of sieging something. Here's what I don't like. This has to do, this has to do with familiarity more than anything else, I think. The couple of moves that got me in real trouble, Alfonso moving here and neglecting his supply and his entire army being cut off, right? And just wiped out. Or Pedro and Eudes sitting around and, oops, we don't have enough cash and we're gone, Now, of course, one of the reasons that they're gone is actually the fact that Alfonso was wiped out. So maybe there's something there. But yeah, the ease with which little blunders cost you the entire game all at once, right? Or cost you a major position in the game. It feels kind of painful, but if you think about going back again to the early days of wargaming, if you think about some of those old Avalon Hill games where you could maybe cut supply through an equivalently little blunder in terms of leaving a path open or a couple of holes in your line where troops could exploit and whatnot and create a pocket, where all your units surrender and now the game's just really over. And it's just, it feels tremendously frustrating when something like that happens. And, as the more experienced player, if I see a newer wargamer making that kind of mistake when I'm playing against them, I'll warn them, hey, I can slip around here and around here and, make them a better gamer. But when you're looking at a new system like this, maybe there isn't that experience, right? I mean, sure, there are people who've played the Levy campaign enough that they have that experience by now, but there's a lot less of it, in terms of the hobby as a whole. So somebody who's maybe played it once or twice, like me, would break this out with someone else, and maybe I've learned my lesson, but don't really know it. I haven't, internalized it enough to the degree that I could see that exactly the mistake that an enemy was making. And, live and learn and whatnot. But it just feels like when the mechanism is unfamiliar enough that you can make those kind of blunders easily, that the game combined with the players is failing to be a good model, right? But that's true with almost any historical simulation, is that you can make really big mistakes just because of mechanisms in the game, and it's very, very hard, to look back and objectively say, yeah, this is the game's fault. Yeah, it's the fact that it's a new mechanism or a newer mechanism for me, and you're likely to blunder around. Just like in Go, I played Go very, very poorly. I still play it pretty poorly, I would say. I play it more poorly now than I perhaps, not than ever, but than I did, a long time ago. But in Go, you can make these tremendously big blunders when you first start out, and then later on, you're able to learn some tricks and patterns that are out there, and you would never make those mistakes again. And that's the way that I am with supply in most of those more traditional war games. Well, with this one, I don't know how to prevent myself from getting cut off from, being able to retreat and whatnot. Although I gotta say, those traditional war games, I never was all that comfortable with sort of the old operational style Avalon Hill SPI stuff. I came a little late to that. I played a couple of them really, really wrong, didn't get what was going on, moved on to more complex games, things, I don't know about more complex, but more detailed representations of stuff that interested me. So either ones that had a lot of strategic elements and had less opportunity to cut people off and everything, and then that had less of the geometry involved in them, and then detailed firepower based games where you actually generate your points, fire points and whatnot, and do casualties in a way that feels better to me than a CRT trying to generate retreats and stuff. So that kind of thinking of encirclement and destruction, the game that I guess really kind of hooked me on understanding that better was Hitler's War, which is a game which is just almost like a parody of encirclement and destructions over on the East Front, and really throughout. But anyway, all right. I've wandered long and far, and the battery's almost dead, so we're going to load this up.